Senator Nathalie, a member of the French Senate, friends, guests of honor at the Abu Dhabi International Book Fair. Ladies and gentlemen, honorable audience, may God's peace and mercy be upon you all. On behalf of His Excellency Dr. Muhammad Abdullah Al-Ali, CEO of the Center, it pleases me to welcome all of you to the Trends Research and Advisory Center. And thank you so much for attending this important symposium, which deals with a topic that does not cease to pose concerns and challenges to decision makers and researchers in the field of combating radicalism leading to violence and terrorism as well, and which is related to how to prevent the sources and the means of financing terrorism. There is no doubt that the financing international terrorism for several decades represents one of the most dangerous challenges facing our contemporary world, if not the most dangerous at all, given the tragedies and the damages resulting from it, which are not limited to the loss of innocent lives and the damage to properties, but extended to impact the entities, their stability and the progress of states, as well as the link between financing terrorism through other crime sources, such as money laundering, drug trafficking, and all crimes. Hence comes the role of research centers in tracking and investigating transnational terrorist financing networks and trying to provide concerned authorities with all updates in the field of combating terrorism financing and raising awareness of the danger of these practices to the security and stability of societies. Trend Center is considered one of the most active and effective research centers in this field. Ladies and gentlemen, as we have devoted the issue, the force of Encyclopedia of the Muslim Brotherhood issue, or released by the Center for Monitoring and Analyzing the Financial Networks of the Muslim Brotherhood Group, this study is very important. We hope through this symposium and the experts who are here to highlight on this important issue to help the concerned entities to combat the crimes of terrorism. One more time, on behalf of the CEO, I would like to thank you all, and thank you, and God's peace and blessing be upon you all. Guests, I would like to welcome you at Trends Research and Advisory Center for attending this important symposium for financing terrorism and confronting the mechanism of financing terrorism. This topic is very important, urgent topic, and we aim through this symposium to highlight how the means of sources of financing terrorism and the most important strategies to combat terrorism. The financing terrorism is very important. That's a threat to the international security, and it leads to radicalism, and it affects on the economical development in all its through this symposium. We would like to enhance our understanding and to exchange the human knowledge about the dangers of financing terrorism and the means of combating it. We share this knowledge through experts in these fields about the means of financing tourism, and we'll discuss all the important development through this field and talking about the most important ways to combat financing tourism. And are going to talk about the French experience in developing and monitoring programs to combat the financing of tourism. And we'd like to ask the Senator of the French Senate to start. صباح الخير على استضافتي هنا، ومعذرة على أني لا أتحدث اللغة العربية. أنا أعمل على 10 سنوات على مكافحة الإرهاب وكيف نكافح الإرهاب. أريد فقط أن أخبركم بوضوح على الموقف. جميع عمليات غسيل الأموال ليست لها علاقة بالإرهاب فحسب، ولكن بالنسبة غسيل الأموال يستوعب الإرهاب ويؤثر على العالم بأكمعه. هذا العام بالنسبة ل تقريبا 27 تريليون يتم انفاقه على الإرهاب.
The money laundering and trafficking coming from piracy. I'm not talking about Johnny Depp and Caribbean pirates. I'm talking about the Red Sea and everything. It's 24 billion. Human trafficking. 40 million people are under human trafficking today. 40 million people. $150 billion. And just 7 billion for traffic of migrants. Contrafact, if you buy a fake Dior or a fake Gucci or a fake Lacoste, you don't think that you will be involved in the traffic and money laundering, but you are. It doesn't look very critical. You know that it's not good, that the goods fall from the truck, but you still buy it. So you are part of the traffic. The contrafact in Europe cost this year 26 billion euro. And then for arms, art trafficking, you also have this kind of amount. So what I want to tell you is that when we are talking about money laundering, we are talking about a hell of money. And as I told you, not the money is going to financing terrorism, but a big part of it is going to finance terrorism, including the gold traffic and everything. So what is very important is to understand that everything can be misused, like crowdfunding, traffic of art, traffic of armed weapon, human trafficking, chocolate in Gaza is very used. Whatever, I wrote a full book on it, so please learn French before you have the Arabic translation. And what is so important today is international cooperation. So we have some organization. We have Egmont Group. We also have TAFT, which is a special entity which is dealing with that. And we have in France a very, very efficient financial investigation unit. And I'm very happy because the United Arab Emirates just signed MIU with the French Financial Intelligence Unit. So this unit is based on a cooperation with most part of international and economic actors, which means that the bank, insurance, money changers, and all kind of now crowdfunding platforms, they have connection with, and they have to declare any unusual movement. If the bank see unusual movement on your account, if a money changer sees something with cash very often and renewable cash changing. If insurance company has a suspicion, he has to declare to this special financial investigation unit. And then investigation unit will investigate and then go to the attorney and prosecutor. So it's a very, very specific area. And right now we have added to this financial unit a special unit on cryptocurrency, which according to my opinion will be the next challenge. So that is the picture. International cooperation, of course, European cooperation, Egmont Group, UCDE, and financial investigation unit, which is very, very efficient, but is also a question of political will. So the experience that we have in France is going to spread all over. We have now good cooperation with a lot of countries, including United Arab Emirates, Saudi Arabia, and then we have a rate for the country, which means that if you have a bad rate, you are on the grey list or on the black list, which happened right now, unfortunately, for United Arab Emirates regarding not Taft, which withdraw United Arab Emirates because of the MIU the country signed with the French counterpart, but because the European Parliament decided that it's not enough to love. We need proof of love. It's not enough to sign an agreement. It's more efficient to have proof that you will achieve something regarding the agreement that you signed. So the European Parliament didn't want to withdraw United Arab Emirates from the grey list. But let's have hope that the next European Parliament, which will be elected next June 9, will change his mind because of the achievement of the country. So to come back to the French experience, which was my subject, we can talk about that for hours, but other people have to speak also. It's a question of political will. It's a balance between security and freedom. For example, we need something like 10 years to ban the 500 euro note, which was called between us the Ben Laden, because with very, very little amount of little volume, you can have a lot of money with those 500 notes. So this Ben Laden now is banned. You cannot go anywhere in France and buy something with 500 euro. The people are going to watch at you with a lot of suspicion. So you see, it's all linked with a good communication, a good understanding, and a balance between freedom and security. Because at the end of the day, it's your right to pay cash whatever you want. And what we did now on the European Union and France, we limited the amount that you can pay cash because, of course, the main issue is the cash and because cash is not traceable. That's what I can tell you. If you want more, but we maybe just...
Of course. Thank you, Senator Nathalie. This was an important discussion. The main question is how to balance freedom with international security, with your own security, how to sound attractive for foreign direct investment, or while making your own system strict to combat money laundering.
Yeah, but when you face the amount that are on the table, you know,
yes.
like
over 800 billion.
100 billion, you understand that it's very difficult to put regulation. For example, now United Arab Emirates and specifically Dubai want to be a hub on cryptocurrency. At the same time, United States, European Union and everything want to regulate. Mm-hmm. So how do you want at the same time to regulate and to have this open market? Because you are going to lose customers.
Yes.
So it's all a question of political will, and that is also very tricky. And especially because you don't have terrorism every single day. Hopefully you don't have October 7 every day, you don't have attack of Houthi on the Red Sea every day. But every time there is something coming up, you know that you have to track the money. And then the subject come back on the table. but it's a subject that you have to follow because it's no money for terror, which was one of the conference here, and I think that we have to follow very, very carefully, and it's really a political matter to balance between freedom and security. So it's a political choice.
Yes. Thank you, Senator Nathalie. That was definitely an interesting conversation regarding the French experience in money laundering and combating money laundering and the funding of terrorism. والآن ننتقل إلى ضيفانا.
Now we move to our two second and third president who are going to talk about the UAE model in counterterrorism. Dr. Marwan Jassim Mohammed, the director of the economic cases and money laundering cases in Ajman, and Mubarak Tariq Al-Belushi, the financial investigation unit in the director. Now Mr. Marwan is going to talk about the UAE model in the counter-terrorism. Thank you, Mr. Abdulaziz, and I would like to thank Her Excellency for her presentation. Of course, I would like to start my presentation with we are honored to be in front of all the elites of attendees in here. I would like to start my presentation with the achievement that have been accomplished lately. That UAE has been enrolled out of the list that Her Excellency pointed out. I would like to point out that such an achievement have been accomplished in a timely manner. Thanks to this solidarity and the accelerated development occurring in the UAE to encounter one of the most important and dangerous crimes at the international as well as national levels, which are financing terrorism and money laundering. I would like to start my presentation with such an important issue, which is the solid legislative framework and the effective one in the UAE. We are working on it now. We are in the UAE have come across money laundering crimes since 1987, when the penal code, the federal penal code was issued in 1987 to criminalize the money laundering crimes and offenses, and it was culminated this year by receiving and signing a lot of memorandums which have signed, which is the anti-corruption agreement and convention, and also organized crimes convention, and also suppression and anti-terrorism, as well as lots of other conventions signed by the UAE. And that's why, thanks to such efforts, the UAE has joined and adopted such international conventions. And in 2002, the first law specialized in encountering money laundering cases, which included a lot of precautionary measures to contribute how to combat such type of crimes. And also this law has been updated in 2014 with a new legislative framework, and there was a transitional phase to encounter by issuing the decree number 20 in 2018 in terms of combating the money laundering and the financing terrorism, and also financing the organized crimes, as well as the illicit offenses, followed by issuing the executive bylaw to encounter by the federal decree for the financing terrorism as well as money laundering, and also followed by a lot of amendments which enhanced and contributed in the enhancing the effectiveness of the country to combat such type of crimes. And a lot of challenges have been also faced by the law enforcement authorities, as well as the judicial systems, as well as the court system. For example, something which is related to track and relocate the financial assets, recruiting, and also confiscating these amounts of money, and confiscating and depriving the offender or the perpetrator from using or utilizing these type of assets. And I would like to talk about the legislative amendment that took place recently, which said that the offender, when he commits such type of crimes, his main goal is to utilize the funds resulting from these crimes, and also working on transferring all such amounts to overseas, or to transfer in a way or other to any type forms of money, which they think that these type of methods he thinks that they might not be tracked or monitored by the relevant authorities. And now we have the UAE legislative authorities that confiscating money is mandatory if it has an illegal source or outcome. But however, if we cannot detect these such type of funds, we can go to confiscating any properties or any positions which can be equal to the amount of the funded, or the amounts funded or transferred according to the FAFT team assessment. So now we move to how about if we cannot freeze or confiscate or hold the assets that can be equal to this amount of money. We have the fine of confiscation, that we oblige the perpetrator with a fine with a financial fine that can be equal to the assets or to the revenues incurred of such in case we cannot detect or monitor the money transferred outside the country. Also, we have also a legislative framework. Also, there was also a strategic framework in the UAE. We have a clear national plan to combat and encounter the money laundering and the terrorist financing cases derived from this plan. A lot of strategic objectives and goals, focusing on many aspects, the effectiveness of investigations and trials at course in money laundering and financing terrorism cases, and also enhancing the role of the financial investigation units for gathering intelligence and their effective role in encountering. And also it came up with the effective confiscation of the money, which can be considered one of the most important tools to deprive the perpetrators from using or utilizing these amounts of money once it's detected. Also, a higher committee has been established, chaired by His Excellency, His Highness Abdullah bin Zayed, which to oversee the national challenges in such type of crimes. And also this committee is also to oversee the work and business, the core business of the National Council, established by the national legislation of the money laundering, involving control sessions and also law enforcement sessions, and as well as the court and judicial departments involved as well. Also derived from this committee, the National Committee for Financing Terrorism cases, a lot of subcommittees derived from the main committee. And I'm saying that this experience in solidarity and the mutual cooperation taking place between among such committees have been culminated with with results that we are proud of. And at the end of the day, we could enable the UAE face this effectively, these type of crimes. Like we enabled the investigating the subcommittee for investigating financial crimes, and also requesting mutual international cooperation requests, which resulted from the solidarity and consolidation of the international efforts with us, as well as our mutual cooperation by signing a lot of MOUs with our neighboring countries, as well as the UAE joined a lot of international conventions and agreements. Our results, thank God, were quite praised and commended by the FAFT group, that we got out of the enhanced list of the 50 of the regular assessment plan. Undoubtedly, that such efforts are ongoing in cooperation with our strategic partners and in facing these type of crimes. And also the financial investigation and the information unit are one of the most important strategic partners and effective ones to track and relocate the money utilized in crimes, international and global and overseas, through which we can gather the information and the evidences, and also the incidents, the related incidents that prove the perpetrator is guilty, and by accomplishing the effectiveness of the country in encountering these type of crimes as well. Thank you, Dr. Marwan, for this presentation, where you focus on the most important efforts exerted by the UAE, as well as the legislative frameworks developed by the UAE in terms of combating the financing terrorism. Mr. Tariq, can you give us more about the UAE model in money laundering cases as well as the financing terrorism? Thanks for inviting me to speak about and to attend this symposium. And we have also to link between the UAE model for the legislative framework. I would like to talk about the operational level or the operational aspect. As Dr. Marwan said, there is a higher committee to oversee the national strategic for money laundering and financing terrorism cases, as well as for the national committee comprising all local as well as federal parties involved or involved in financing terrorism and counter-terrorism, as well as the other crimes like other financial crimes resulting from these ones. From the national committee, we have subcommittees. We have, as Dr. Marwan said, there is a subcommittee specialized in encountering financing terrorism, and they are separate from the money laundering subcommittee, and they are all focused on it. إذن هي لجنتين منفصلتين. Also, what is distinguishing the UAE model in money laundering and counter-terrorism financing, that the UAE is adopting a holistic approach for the virtual assets. So it obliges all companies were involved in virtual assets that they have to undergo a license, and they have also to undergo surveillance or being controlled and monitored by the subcommittee. And any other risks causing threats to the country will be legal criminalized, and also there will be also legal frameworks to encounter this type of potential risk in the future. One of the tasks is also that one of the most important things that distinguish the UAE model is just like to approach the current situation and the potential economic situation risks, and that's why the UAE is currently along with just for the risk assessment models at the national level, and the second level of national risk, because of the ongoing changes on the infrastructure and also the virtual assets. It's also one of the most important risks. Also, we are coming on as also the international cooperation is the basis of the UAE model at all levels, whether at the financial information unit or even the control, the law enforcement, the courts, and the judge, the judicial system. The international cooperation is such an important thing and very critical, and has been focused on, especially over the past years, and it resulted in signing MOUs with the UAE financial information system, along with the international ones. And also the Ministry of Justice have signed many memorandum of understandings and conventions for the extradition of perpetrators and offenders overseas. And now we have the current model, And since the UAE got out of the gray list of the risks, international, it just expresses or it reflects the solidarity of the efforts by the relevant authorities. It doesn't mean that we have to stop that. However, it was just like a sign that the country has been suffering from some strategic pitfalls, but have been recently resolved. Undoubtedly, risks are always increased, and they are always expected to happen, especially in the infrastructure that we are having right now. But what we are concerned about right now in the UAE, that we have to reduce them. So the more crimes are developed, the more alert we should be all the time to combat. So criminals and perpetrators also always seek to move ahead of us 10 steps. So we have to cope up with it. We have to develop the potential, the human as well as the technical potentials. Honestly, for the technical aspect, for just combating the financing terrorism and money laundering.
And we'll cover one more time in the hub of financing terrorism source and the most important mechanism and the challenges. Dr. Sakr, you have the platform. Thank you for the audience. Development of the financial resources, because it's different sources and indicators are connected with other financial crimes like money laundering. It also includes other crimes like tax evasion, and there are other electronic crimes. There is a connection between money laundering and terrorism, and the terrorism uses money laundering crimes to provide terrorism. The government and the UAE does its best in order to combat terrorism, as my other speakers have already mentioned. We can divide the financial sources in three sources: traditional and untraditional and electronic sources. The traditional sources, they are often communicated through transaction or cross-bordering movement, and the sources of, for example, donation and attracting businessmen, as happened from Bin Laden, and the illegal trade goods and the drug trafficking, as the Taliban did. And there are national, international activities all over the world. In addition to that, the electronic crimes, by imposing money on people when they cross the borders. There are these were the traditional sources. There are also untraditional sources through terrorist attacks, surprising terrorist attacks, and trafficking antiquities and selling oil through illegal ways. And the UAE has many issues, clear issues, in the field of combating and managing these international violations. And the UAE has discovered a lot of important issues in the field of trafficking oil and supporting the terrorists and using the UAE territories in doing such activities. There are untraditional sources which are connected with electronic sources, which are considered the most important dangerous ways. The terrorists are trying to find the new ways to finance terrorism. They try to use the social media through connecting some donations and using the virtual people, and using bitcoins and using these virtual assets to finance terrorism and making the bad use of robots. And these updated robots use a lot of people in order to spread the content of a lot of information, and they use AI. Of course, we don't like to talk along about that, but we have laws, which law is number 20, regarding the fighting and the combating the terrorism sources. The UE is trying to cooperate with the international authorities in order to fight terrorism. The legislation here in the UE have been committed to develop a plan action and make recommendations, and there is a positive role which aims to protect the UAE from any other practices, and they are trying to develop a national strategy through a joint committee to combine the public sector and the private sector to fight terrorism and to combat all the illegal ways to finance terrorism. And there are about 21 private sectors, which include financial sectors and international sectors, to cooperate with the public sector. The UAE has developed a system to monitor the financial issues, and through recording automatically a lot of new things. And this system includes a lot of ways to combat a lot of things through having AGI, and they are trying to cooperate at the international level, and they use many modern technologies in order to report any crimes, and using IMS system for gathering information, and they try to cooperate with all the ministers in the UAE, and they try to analyze the suspicious information and monitor banks and exchange shops in order to monitor dealing with money and the documents which must be available. And thank God, the UAE is a leading country in fighting terrorism, and they have discovered a lot of some crimes, and they have been taken to the court. And thank you for listening to me. Thank you, Dr. Sakr. The development of financing resources have been developed traditional ways, untraditional ways, electronic challenges. This has become a big challenge because there is a variety of these sources, and this has compelled us to develop new ways in order to monitor all these ways. Mr. Tarek, do you have anything to add to this dialogue? Thank you, Doctor. The doctor has spoken about the sources and the ways of financing terrorism from the system of the crimes which are available in the UAE. I'm going to talk about the danger and the risks at the country's level through the financial information, and the UAE is connected with all the financial states, which is called the admin group, and they try to share information from at the international level. The most countries are suffering from the sources of financing terrorism, and they try to use virtual ways to fight or combat terrorism. I'm talking here about the sources. They use the electronic toys in financing terrorism, and they use a lot of trafficking through the borders, and the abuse of using the exchange offices which are not registered legally to finance terrorists and the terrorist groups, and using the terrorist groups to use situations and use the promotion through social media, and establishing charity organizations to finance terrorist attacks. And they use religious activities in order to help and attract people to give donations, to use it to finance a terrorist organization. The organizations terrorists try to use the natural ways and the goods to traffic them and to sell them at the international markets and use that money to for terrorist activities. These are some sources of financing terrorism, but we have some chances and challenges. The challenges, the biggest challenge is the infrastructure development, and also the presence of experts in different measures, especially in the AI and the technological measures, who are used by the terrorist groups to help them. And the presence, they are present and at the social media through conceived names or under the names to finance and to collect money to finance terrorist attacks. We have another change, the presence of risks which have impact, negative impact on the economy, and they misuse or abuse using the charity groups in the countries. And they do their best in order to reach these charity groups. Another matter or issue which is more important and critical is the difference at the regional level to identify the terrorist groups. What is terrorist or what is considered the terrorist group in a country is not considered a terrorist group in another country. So there must be a definition for the terrorist groups. The chances and the mechanisms, in my opinion, which are connected with financing terrorism, to develop the experiences and the authorities of legislation. And there must be virtual ways, and we must enforce the international cooperation to combat terrorism at all places, especially the places or the cities where the terrorism is there, and enforcing the cooperation between the private sector and the public sector, not at a strategic level, but this cooperation or partnership must contain the strategic side. One of the mechanisms which the states must take is to enforce the cooperation with the platform of social media to monitor and gather information. And there is another update regarding the financial tourism, which took place in the UK. They have signed a memorandum of understanding with the authorities who are responsible for social media to fight terrorism and also promoting the awareness of the public regarding the terrorist groups in our region. If we can, as the states or countries, to make sure that the public is aware and they have positive awareness of the terrorism, I believe this is going to be a support to prevent terrorist financing. And also we have to promote the coexistence among people, among the nationalities who live here. And we do a lot of things to promote and raise the awareness of the public through the experts. And we have many international studies or international centers which make many studies. And I'd like to thank you for listening to me. Thank you, Dr. Tariq, for presenting this information. And Dr. Sakr, we'd like to thank him, who talked about the mechanism of combating and talked about the chances and challenges of financing terrorism. I hope that this session or panel has covered all the information you took.
I did something to what you say. Regarding regarding the definition of terrorist, and then I would like to give you a very simple example of what you say with charity.
Sure.
We have a lot of difficulties in France to register a Muslim Brotherhood on the terrorist list. And in fact, we need that. And European Union, for example, is giving subsidies to some charities who obviously have link with the Muslim Brotherhood. So we know that they are banned from United Arab Emirates and other countries, including Austria. But as you say, it's difficult to have the definition of terrorist list. And then I try my best in the parliament, but it's very, very difficult to identify with the taqiyya and everything. So definitely, we have to pay attention not only on the money laundering, but something on regular issue, which is the charity, which is international organization, which are giving money and subsidies to some organization linked with the Muslim Brotherhood. We have a lot, and especially in Britain and UK, a lot of people who are benefit of taxpayer money, including European taxpayer money, who are supporting, by the way, without knowing it, out of their goodwill. If European Union is giving money to charity linked with Muslim Brotherhood, it means that myself, as a taxpayer, I support Muslim Brotherhood, which I don't want, of course. So that is something which is linked with information and international cooperation. I think that Trent is doing a very good job in the matter, but not enough to open eyes of European Union on the subject. It's very, very important. We are talking about millions of euros. And as you talk about a very new way to finance, you don't have to forget Awala, which is used every single day. And then in my country, Zakat is also misused. And we have to learn from United Arab Emirates how to organize Zakat to prevent misuse of Zakat. But in France, it's not possible for many reasons, including secularism.
Yes.
But you know, small mosque next to Paris with 1,000 people collect more than €1 million cash during Ramadan. A part of it we don't know what it's doing with. A big part is used properly, and a small part may be used differently. So yes, for charity, but take care with international organizations which sometimes are playing against our security.
Well, yes, of course, organizing charity, where does the money goes that we people give to charity is an important aspect of fighting important issues such as money laundering and funding terrorism. And that's, of course, what Mr. Tariq has also said in his word as well. And I thank you for that comment as well, Senator Natalie.
Now, we come back to you one more time. We hope that we have enriched your knowledge, and it will help to enforce the cooperation between us to encounter this financing terrorism, which is considered very important. Terrorists believe that the freedom of belief and terrorism is a very important disease. We have to remove it from its roots, and we have to remove the ways of financing tourism. I hope that you have benefited from this session, and I would like to thank you on behalf of CEO Dr. Muhammad Al Ali. Peace and the blessing be upon you all.